every now and then you read something that is personal. You read something that is unexpected. And this article is awesome. This is from Jessica Valenti. And the weird thing about this Wonder Woman movie, like I said, I almost cried about 3 or 4 times in this movie. In the opening scene, that flashback scene with little Diana running through the streets was very powerful. Um, then the next time I almost cried, I was actually shocked, was when Antiope died. The next moment that was very, very potent to me and actually brought tears to my eyes was when Diana had to leave her mother. It was very intense for me. It was a very intense moment for me. As she moves off into her future, her mother, when she said, "You are my greatest love, and today you are my greatest sorrow," it really gripped me, And then all of these were relational moments, I guess. The other moment in the film which really got me was when as she was crossing the battlefield going forward, because the music was very inspirational. It really, and then all the soldiers poured out behind Steve Trevor and company. I think just because she created that change, she was like that catalyst that drove the armies forward. It was so powerful to see that my eyes started to tear up. And then the other moment was a moment where, again, I teared up when she was speaking so earnestly to the generals. And no one, I don't think in any comic book movie I've ever seen, I'm not too sure if any movie, anyone has just stood up. And she literally, what really choked me up was when she started speaking about the generals going to battle and dying for their soldiers. That was literally what she saw when Antiope gave her life for her. Antiope believed in her. Antiope believed in her soldiers. I was listening to an interview with Robin Wright where she said that Antiope wasn't involved in any lesbian relationships or any kind of relationship. Her relationships were with her soldiers. She believed in them. The thing that, oh my God, I can't even talk too much about Robin Wright's character without feeling emotional about it, because I've never seen a general or any leader of any army who cared so much about each individual soldier. There was a love in Antiope. Even in the opening scene when you're seeing the Amazons and she's talking to another Amazon and she's talking about what needs to be done, the way how she carried it about is just so different. Now, I know she's fought with these soldiers many times and she didn't have to train them, so she doesn't have to carry them through a boot camp, but the way how she relates to her fellow soldiers, because her job is to keep them ready, right? That's her job. That's what makes her so great. And the way how she sees, like she's like a mentor almost. She sees what they're good at doing. She sees and she talks to them like a friend. She doesn't talk to them like a general. It's so different. I mean, this movie's so different, man. So when I hear Diana talk about the general, and you can feel the earnestness in her. It's different when somebody is compelled to say something. Like, she will not be silent. When Steve said, "She's with me," she said, "I am not with you." She said, "I am not with you." She declared it, and it was powerful how she just kind of was compelled to say this, and especially where she knew that Antiope died in an effort to save her life. She knew about this. She could not keep quiet. It got me. Very potent emotion in this film. Patty Jenkins. The other time I almost cried again, actually tears did come from my eyes, was when Steve was dying. He was on the verge of sacrificing his life, and you could see he's gearing up to do the act. And then you see the slight smile that cracks across his face as he knows He's accomplishing what he wanted to do in this war, which was do something. And he dies, and that hurt me. But then seeing Diana see that happen and how she reacted to that, it's very visceral, very internal, as if something just broke inside her, ripped inside her. Gal Gadot's performance with that was just so intense that again I was tearing up. And then they carried that element into her present time when she takes up the watch. It rips you. It really rips you inside. So when I left the film, I was caught up in all kinds of places because I could relate to what Diana was going through. In my personal life, I've had those experiences. So you lose people very close to you, and it really rips you up. But you go on, and something beautiful can come out of it. And that's basically what this story was about. And spoilers, folks. Sorry, I gotta put spoilers on the title of this. But it was so beautiful, and yet so painful. So this film got me. Patty Jenkins got me from the opening of this movie, and I can understand why so many women also would cry for many different reasons. They would tear up because Patty literally gets inside of you, and she shows you how she feels about what she's doing. She has extreme passion for this movie. So my favorite character in this entire movie, I don't know how to explain this to people, but Robin Wright's character completely threw me for a loop. Literally, Robin Wright's character, it was not what I was expecting. I was expecting a badass, leader of the Amazons. I got so much more out of that character that Robin Wright portrayed on the screen. So much more that it's amazing. When Diana knocks Antiope across the field, and Antiope is badly damaged, and you hear Hippolytus say, "What have I done?" And you hear Diana say, "I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." And she runs away. She runs away. And Antiope's calling to her saying, "Diana, Diana." And she wants to get up to tell Diana, "Well done." And the other lady's saying, "You've been badly injured. Stay down," to Antiope. It's just, I don't know how to explain how dramatic that is. How much Antiope has invested herself into Diana. How much Antiope invests herself into every single warrior. This is a character you can't get enough of, because this is nothing you've ever seen on the screen. You've never seen a soldier who is so invested, almost like a mentor, to each and every one of the people she is shepherding. Antiope to me is more than just a soldier. She's more than just someone who is there to train people to. No, she wants them to be comfortable. She wants them to be the best they can be. They're already going to beat each other to the pulp at times, and they're going to come back bruised and injured. But it's almost like she's a guardian to them. She may not be the greatest warrior in terms of all that she can do, but god damn it, she makes sure everybody's on point, not just militarily, but mentally, prepared for whatever comes, like a real general. If war comes, some of you will die. So prepare yourself for that. She. So when they go to war, when you see the Amazons go to war, they dive into battle, not because they love to fight, but because it's a duty and they know the cost of going into it, but they don't hold back. And that's what you saw with the Amazons when they fiercely started to defend Themyscira from the soldiers. They were there. Like when Antiope yells out to Diana, "Diana!" and the mother says, "Diana!" and Steve Trevor saves her life, getting her to cover, because Diana has no idea what those things are that the soldiers are coming with and firing. She doesn't understand what they are. And it's just... It's overpowering. It's overpowering. If you're someone who feels emotion, these things are very, very potent. Even the battle on Themyscira, again, the picture of war as something that's not um, it's not something to desire. Is painted so beautifully by the direction of Patty Jenkins, and just the beautiful story being told. Because of what every single war Diana has been in, she's lost someone close to her. In fact, at the end of the movie, Diana never smiles. She walks through the crowd, she meets her friends, and then she goes and sees Steve, the picture of Steve, and she leaves and she looks up into the sky at the end of the movie. This movie is not funny. It's somber. It's a very somber movie, and if you're going into Wonder Woman looking for laughs, you're going to end up crying probably at some point. But it's inspiring. It's painful, but it's inspiring. And at the end of the movie, when Diana's leaping out into the horizon, you know, because she can't help but help people. You get that sensation throughout this movie. You don't see Wonder Woman as a badass warrior. You see her as a guardian. You see Antiope in her. You know, when the mother gives her that star that Antiope had and puts it on her forehead, you know, to take with her, it's bittersweet. It's bittersweet. If you really love dramas, it's a bittersweet moment. You know, you see the mother, she knows she can't stop her. She knows why Diana came into this world. She knows why she's been created. She told Diana what it is. So Diana's going to live up to that. And she can't stop her. And she knows this may be it. She may never see Diana again. Ever. So that's why she says it's her greatest sorrow. And I think a lot of people are hoping that she will unite with Diana again. But the tragedy is, I doubt Diana will ever see her mother again. And I know a lot of you would like that to happen, but I don't think it'll ever happen. And so these are the moments that make me get caught up with emotion when I think about it, even when I process it. And this movie is incredible. So Jessica Balenti, she didn't expect this out of this movie. It's a very deep movie, and she's going to highlight some of the things as a woman that this movie brought forth. I'm telling you, this thing it's powerful. It's a powerful movie. I've watched it a couple times, you know, illegally, because it's come out online now, and I can't get over the movie. I've been thinking about it last night as well, and this movie is stirring. It moves you. It'll move you in different ways. So, yeah. Let's get into this article. Those of you who understand what I'm talking about, if you ended up crying in this film for some reason or the other, it's okay. The movie was supposed to move you to feel a certain way. Even if you're a man, you find yourself tears welling up in your eyes. Maybe you don't leak some tears, but you find yourself choking up on this movie. It was designed that way, to make you feel and empathize with what Diana was going through. It's a very, very deep tale, and it's not really a funny movie. There are funny elements in it and awkward elements in it, but it's not a funny movie at all. And Patty Jenkins has done a remarkable job of painting the picture of the story and getting it right. It's gonna rope you in. Now, some people think that Wonder Woman is this badass and she's just about kicking ass and she loves to fight. Wonder Woman's about getting the job done. She'll do whatever duty calls her to do. And now you know why from this movie. You know how she takes proaction. I was watching at the final scene between Ares and Diana. And some people say Ares doesn't look like Ares from the comics. To me, Ares looks like George Perez Ares, ripped right out of the comics. It was so cool how he made his suit, you know, come together. I know I'm talking a lot. I'm not going into the actual article from The Guardian by Jessica Balenti. I will. But I just had to let this out. I had to let this out because I almost took an entire week off from working this week because I just wanted to share these videos with you guys. Don't forget you can donate to my channel. It will really help me a lot. because I basically kind of stayed away from work for a whole week, and I need to be compensated somehow, some way. I don't know. But I wanted to talk about this movie a lot because it's like Jessica Valenti said, it's cathartic. I hope Zack Snyder's watching this movie as well, because I think it may help him and Deborah Snyder through the situation, just for the whole family to sit down and take in this movie, because it's about loss. It's a journey about loss. There's a lot of loss that happens because when Diana starts her journey. There's loss that triggers her to start the journey. There's loss. It's strange. She tries to save lives, and she loses the ones closest to her. The cost for going down this road was huge for her. And she pressed on. She pressed on. She lost her mother. She lost her aunt because of a sense of duty, a sense of doing something. And she lost the guy who was leading her through on this journey. She lost him. And in life, that happens. That's real life. When I looked at her sitting in that museum, seemingly alone, I don't know if she's alone. It looks like she is. And I saw as the little kid with full life, and then they came back to her reflecting on her journey in the museum. I couldn't help but think how much she lost, and yet how much she learned. I don't know if this meshes with anyone who's listening to this video, but it completely meshes with me and my life. I've lost a lot, but I've learned a lot through loss. And the movie moved me, and that's the thing that sometimes people say, it's not just a movie. It's not just a movie. Sometimes it's more than a movie for someone. It's not just a comic book character. The United Nations wanted to make Wonder Woman the ambassador. But what makes the character real, according to Christy Marston, is how real that character is to real people. Real people with lives that live in the real world. And no matter what walk of life, the values that this character has, it appeals to these different people. And it saves them from going down a path which would be destructive. If you want to know why some people love comic book characters or heroes, athletes who are successful, it's because they get hope. They get inspired by them. And sometimes what other people think is not inspirational, some other person finds inspirational. Sometimes a movie can speak to you in a certain situation you're in. I didn't expect Man of Steel to get to me. I didn't expect Man of Steel to express certain things that in my life would change me and how I look at the world, and strengthen me also as I look at the world a certain way. I didn't expect that. A lot of people see a violent movie. A lot of people see Superman not helping people. For me, it was a journey. A journey where someone who is trying to understand how they fit in to the world and how they can do something good with the gifts and tools they had. For me, it was seeing someone become a hero, seeing someone become and embrace an ideology. So Man of Steel was quite connected with me. Maybe the Christopher Reeve Superman I didn't connect with as much because he already was the end point of those things. And in my journey, I was trying to get there. So, for some people, Man of Steel is an insult to them. And for other people, it was something that they could identify with and help them on their journey. See, everybody's not the same. Batman v Superman, again, was real to me. It spoke to me. I know of another guy, he went in to see this comic book movie, and he left the movie crying. Because he didn't expect that from a comic book movie. So, sometimes movies do change people's lives. That's why, even though it is a movie, sometimes it's good to have a little something in there for people besides entertainment. We live in an age where things which are entertaining are not necessarily good. They get your attention, but at the end of the day, you're not the better for it. So, I just thought I'd confess it on this channel. I know some of you out there, money is hard to come by. Things are hard. That's what makes you a hero. You may not think so, but you press on. And you try to be positive out there. And you try to give something good back, no matter how bad things get. And so, that's what it's all about. This movie, Wonder Woman, concluded that no one person could save the world. But it can start with one person. One person can catalyze a whole set of people to start believing again, even when things are hard. We look for saviors all the time. We look for people to sweep down and deliver us from situations. And we forget that we can do it too. We have all the potential in us, untapped. Just like Wonder Woman. But we have to work together. And we have to care about each other. Anything is possible. It always has been. No matter how bad things get. It's true. It's not a lie. So this article is about a woman, and she didn't know there was a cloud over her head. She's gotten used to it. This article is written which inspires me. It's very inspiring because it comes from someone's experience. Those are the most powerful things in the world. And it provoked this reaction on this video. There is a poster that hangs in my 6-year-old daughter's room. It reads, Wonder Woman for President. the superhero towering over the world. She's doing her best to save. It's a reproduction of a 1972 Miss magazine cover, the feminist publication's inaugural issue. I always found the image lovely, but had no real attachment to Wonder Woman herself. I wasn't a comic book or superhero fan, and unlike some of my friends who grew up reading red and blue underoos and watching Linda Carter play Wonder Woman on television, she wasn't my go-to feminist icon. In fact, it always seemed as if feminist love for Wonder Woman was simply because, well, there weren't a whole lot of other options. As far as well-known female superheroes went, she was it. But as I watched Patty Jenkins' smash hit movie this weekend, overcome with emotion through most of the film, I finally understood. Wonder Woman's singularity is what makes her so special, especially right now. Like a lot of other women I know, and a lot of women I don't, I found myself crying at unexpected times during the film. Watching the Amazon woman of Themyscira practice fighting, their strength and athleticism on full display. The battle scene where their bodies flew through the air, beautiful, but not sexualized. The incredible moment Diana reveals herself and liberates a town by climbing above the trenches and doing what no man had been able to do before. Meredith Werner described it best in the Los Angeles Times when she wrote, "I felt like I was discovering something I didn't even know I always wanted. To see a woman brave, powerful, and invincible. Yes, we've seen female action stars before, but not like this. Not in a way where the camera lingering on a woman's body feels strong instead of lascivious, which means lusty. Not in a movie where a woman's strength is depicted as inevitable and natural." When the movie was over, I openly wept outside the theater to my husband. I needed a minute to compose myself. It's one thing to intellectually recognize the power of representation, quite another to feel it in your bones when you finally see it. We're in a political moment where rooms full of men are making decisions about women's future. And the country is being run by a man who brags about sexually assaulting women. Feminist backlash is so severe that theaters holding women-only showings of a movie have been the target of online ire and even lawsuits. I have a few friends who didn't attend such viewings for fear that one of these angry men would show up to do harm. When so many of us feel powerless, seeing the extraordinary power of one woman feels like a cathartic release. A reminder of what's possible and what our daughter and ourselves deserve. Luckily these days, Wonder Woman is not the only female superhero with widespread mainstream recognition. Culture is changing even as our politics seem to be falling backwards. My daughter read comics every night. Her favorite at the moment is Squirrel Girl. I'm thrilled that she'll have all sorts of heroes to choose from. Still, I'm glad it's Wonder Woman that sits above her bed, watching over her. You know, sometimes you forget how much you're still under a cloud until you see someone break through the clouds up towards the sun, and you see the sun shining through those clouds, and you see that there's something above the clouds. Athletes do it, they break records and make us realize there's more that's possible. And people who say we can do something when everyone says you can't. Whether you represent some race or demographic like women, or you represent foreigners, or you represent the urban community, or you represent the rural community. Whether you are someone who is an intellectual, or you're someone who's a high school dropout, a businessman, or you're someone who works for a state or a government in public service, whatever you are, you can do anything. There's no upper limit to what you can do. It doesn't matter who you are. But in your journey upwards, sometimes you go through pain that nobody else experiences. They just benefit from. So when I see women crying on seeing this movie, I may not understand as women why they're crying, but I can identify with seeing and opening your eyes to what is possible. What you thought was not supposed to be possible for you as a woman. And finally, to see it on the screen. It's both inspirational and very touching. So, I thought I'd share that with you guys. I really like this article. The summary of it is right here, so I'm just going to read that. When so many of us feel powerless, seeing the extraordinary power of one woman feels like a cathartic release. It's from the article. Believe you me, this movie is going to change a lot of things in the future. A lot of things. And we live in a world where there are a lot of people who care. One of the most touching things I saw was when Black Eyed Peas came up to the Adriana Grande concert and they sang about one love and everybody joined in. This is right after the Manchester bombings. Their response was love. They didn't lash out at the bombers. They didn't speak evil about anyone. They simply sang about love. It's a different way of approaching things. You guys have a great one.